Welcome, traders, to your daily Forex market outlook for July 30th, 2008, presented by FXDD. Be more informed, be a better trader. Visit us on the web at forex.fxdd.com. All right, let's get started. 5 a.m. we'll see the release of Eurozone confidence indices. Included are industrial confidence, economic confidence, consumer confidence, and service confidence. Consumer confidence fell to minus 16.7 last month, the lowest level since October of 2003. An index that measures the sentiment in the Eurozone economic climate fell to 94.9, the lowest level also since May of 2005. Confidence in the industrial economy fell to minus 4.7 from minus 1.7 in the previous month. This index was at the lowest level since December of 2005. Finally, service sector confidence index rose last month to 9.2 from 8.3 in the previous month. It has increased for the last 2 months. This month, the expectation is for continued weakness in each, with consumer confidence moving to minus 18 from minus 17, economic confidence falling to 93 from 94.9, industrial confidence falling to minus 7 from minus 5, and service confidence falling to 8 from 9. The expectation is that the Eurozone area will continue to slow further in the second half of the year as higher rates slow the growth and the global economy slows. Next out will be Swiss leading indexes for the month of July to come out at 5:30 a.m. New York time. The index measures the overall economic health by combining 25 leading indicators, including consumer expectations, housing permits, stock prices, and interest rate spreads. Last month, the index continued its decline since peaking in July of 2007, but falling to 1.01. The index has not increased since July of 2007, however. This month, the downward trend is to continue as the index is expected to decline to 0.96. This would be the lowest level since September of 2003. Now on to North American releases. First on the menu at 8:15 a.m. will be ADP non-farm employment reports for July. The report has not been a good predictor of the non-farm payroll, often being off by a large difference. However, the market generally has a reaction to the report, and the number has an influence on the expectations by the market. Last month, the report showed a decline of 79,000 jobs. The actual non-farm payroll report came in at minus 62,000. The ADP report does not include government workers hired during the month. Typically, the government component adds somewhere in the range of 20,000 jobs. As a result, the estimate last month proved to be a good predictor of the actual report. Canada Raw Material Price Index and the Industrial Product Price Index for the month of June will be released at 8:30 a.m. The RMPI measures the cost of materials used by manufacturers, and the IPPI measures the change in the price of goods sold by manufacturers. Last month, the RMPI increased by 3.1%. Although high, it was lower than the 5% that was expected. The IPPI rose by a less 0.6%. Lower prices for metals and car prices and a stronger Canadian dollar helped offset higher energy costs. For June, the RMPI is expected to rise by 3%, while the IPPI is expected to rise by 1%. The risks exist that raw material prices find their way into the final cost of goods. However, in slower economic times, businesses will tend to increase efficiencies to compensate for the higher costs. Moving to world releases, 7:01 p.m. will see the release of UK GFK consumer confidence for July. The UK GFK consumer confidence last month came in at minus 34. This was the lowest level since March of 1990. The housing and credit crisis have the consumers gloomy. This month, the expectation is for a further decline to minus 37. The Bank of England monetary policy meeting last week showed that 7 members wanted no change in rates at 5%. 1 voted for a cut and 1 voted for a rise. The expectation is for the BOE to keep rates unchanged until inflation starts to show signs of slowing. However, the year-on-year inflation will likely not start moving towards the 3% upper band until 2009. 7:15 p.m. will see Japanese manufacturing index for the month of July. Last month, the index declined to a new low level of 46.5 from 47.7 in May. The index was as high as 52.3 in January of 2008. A reading below the 50 level indicates contraction in the manufacturing sector. For this month, there is no estimate. However, yesterday, the BOJ deputy governor said the economy may fall into a recession as higher costs stagnate growth. Later, the IMF said Japan's economy is heading for a soft landing. The BOJ seems to be keeping rates on hold as the headwinds of the current global economic trends keep inflation high but growth slow at the same time. 9:30 p.m. we'll see the release of Australia retail sales for the month of June. Last month, Australia's retail sales rose a greater than expected 0.7% for the month of May. The increase was led by increases in food, recreational goods, cosmetics, and jewelry. The gain puts into question the slowing of the Australian economy as a result of the higher interest rates. Retail sales account for 60% of the Australian GDP. This month, the expectation is for no change in spending for the month. In addition to the monthly release, the retail sales, excluding inflation for the quarter, is expected to show a decline of minus 0.1%. A negative number would match the 0.1% decline in the first quarter and would be the first back-to-back declines since 1996. This suggests the oversized gain last month was more a reflection of higher inflation. Also at 9:30 p.m., we will see Australia trade balance for the month of June. Last month, the Australian trade balance showed a deficit of $965 million in May as exports rose to a record level of 21.9 billion Australian dollars. Booming sales of iron ore and coal led this increase. With higher prices being negotiated for Australia's raw materials, the expectation is for the trade deficit to continue to move towards a surplus. And this month, the expectation is to decline to 100 million Australian dollars as export growth is expected to continue as a result of strong demand and higher prices. The market will be watching the import side of the equation to see how domestic demand is holding up given the higher inflation and the effects of the higher prices. A lower trade deficit should be a benefit to the Australian dollar. 11 p.m. we'll see the release of New Zealand Business Confidence Index for the month of July to be released. This index surveys approximately 1,500 businesses and measures the mood of businesses in regards to economic expectations. It is conducted by the National Bank of New Zealand. Last month in May, the index improved to 38% from 49.7 in April. This was the fourth straight month that the index has showed improvement. The low reading for the recent cycle came in at minus 57.9 in March. There is no estimate for the current month. However, the Reserve Bank of New Zealand cutting rates this month and expected to continue the cut in the near term. It will be curious to see if the business confidence shows improvement. Other key events and releases of the day include 12 a.m. we will see Royal Bank of New Zealand's Bollard speak in Auckland, New Zealand. And then at 5 p.m., ABC Consumer Confidence Index for the current week. Last week, the confidence measure stayed at minus 41. This is down from the low of minus 51 reported in the last week of May. The index has not increased in 7 weeks. This has been your Forex Market Outlook for July 30th, 2008, presented by FXDD. Be sure to visit us on the web at forex.fxdd.com for more trading insight. This report is produced daily by Greg Michalowski, Sean Powell, and the trading team at FXDD. We appreciate your business and hope you have a profitable day trading.